Okay, so you can introduce this topic because it's yours.
Yeah. So like what my I guess like the topic that I want to discuss, is kind of just like the use of like AAVE or whatever, or like African-American or like Black vernacular or whatever in like meme culture. Like kind of just like I realize like I like see like a lot of like just memes that kind of like are like certain like terms that are, or like phrases that are like basically old or like worn out, like black black phrases that are that were in like a few years back or whatever. Yeah. Like dab or whatever. Yeah. Or fucking or yeet. Like it's very like weird just because like it'll basically just be used by people that, as far as I know, interact with no other black people. And then like when the phrases or the terms were probably like in its peak use or whatever, are like they probably like look down at them, or like they're like they just don't understand it, or even just like way certain like some memes are like the fucking Harambe meme, or like why Harambe is a meme, in which that like it parodies like young black kids, or like young black kids like getting shot by the police, like what's your take on that?
God, it's interesting. Because one, it's just another like example of the popular culture stealing from black culture. Yeah. Which is a fucking common trope. Right. Unfortunately, it's like wow. Well, there's a couple things. One, memes are the popular culture right now. There's no denying that. Memes are pop culture. Right. So
they're like a popular medium.
Yeah. Yeah. At some point, I don't know what happened. I don't know if like some white kid finds it funny. It's just like, wow, this is legitimately funny. Why wouldn't, like, maybe they're super late to it. Right. They're like, wow, this is great. Yeah. And then tries to get other people, or maybe they're making fun of it, which is usually the more likely case. Right. And then suddenly it blows up years after it normally would have. Yeah. And usually not in the context that it originally came from, without any like bouncing back to where it came from. Right. Like, I basically just restated what you said. But it's like, it's fucking, it's hard. I don't really know. Right. Honestly, it's
like what's your take on the dab?
I dab. Yeah. But I guess like I'll give my how I discovered the dab, and then like why it gets weird. Yeah. I didn't know where the dab came from. Right. I know where it comes from now. Yeah. But at the time, I had no idea. I'm just like, wow, meme. So I started dabbing. I also did it like a year late, which is even worse. I think I started dabbing when Hillary Clinton dabbed because I thought it was fucking funny. But doesn't that like hammer in the whole thing? Yeah. Like I did it because I thought it was funny to make fun of doing it. Right. Which is probably where that even originated. Like, not originated from, but like where its use in popular memes came from to begin with.
Right. That's kind of ironic given that like it comes from Hillary Clinton, and because back when people, you know, were like, or I'm not going to get into, that's for another day. Yeah. But when people kind of accused Hillary Clinton of like pandering to black people or whatever, that was kind of like the fact that she did the dab or whatever was one of those like examples. Yeah. So I think that's kind of interesting with that. That's how you discovered it. Like, yeah. I mean, to be honest, the dab kind of died when the Carolina Panthers lost the Super Bowl.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Sorry, Cam Newton. We all wanted you to win.
But that brings up another like. I feel like a lot of people. All I'm doing is proving your point here. A lot of people do start doing memes and stuff, or a lot of memes originate from this want to be ironic. Yeah. Which is just, ironic is another way of saying making fun of things. Yeah. People fucking are like, wow, what are those? Want to be ironic and say everything is what are those. Right. We know where the source came from for that. Yeah. Which is the unusual part. But it's like, or at least openly know, like the meme culture knows. But it still started off of some other people are like, wow, he said it funny. Now I'm going to say it funny.
Right. And
versus like, wow, that's funny, not because he said it funny, because it's like legitimately funny.
Yeah, and then it's just like the making fun of people who do that thing, like the fucking like the dat boy meme with like the frog pointing, and like how that's like super racist because it's like it makes fun. It's basically just like making fun of the way that like most Black Americans like talk or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's like very weird. I think it's also interesting that it's on the internet in particular, just because there's like a lot of racist shit, like you know Punch Out?
Yeah.
The fucking like, I think like they somehow they managed to turn the fucking sequence in like the opening game of Little Mac's trainer like running after the coach who's like black, and somehow it got refashioned into niggas stole my bike. You know, and it's like I think it's very interesting that like these memes kind of like were like very much like big at a time where Black and brown people weren't really the most commonly hip to the internet.
Yeah.
And so like,
or at least the most vocal.
Right, like the.
I think everyone knew what the internet was,
but it wasn't. But it was always more. It wasn't. It's not really until recently that it started getting taken seriously, like or just like how it was like done, or like the connotation that it has.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the same thing like that with like online gaming or whatever. Yeah. Like, you know, like there's like a lot. I see like a lot of like people that were like that like Black content creators that were kind of like on back in the day. They're like, yeah, you know, a lot of white people assume that Black people didn't have internet or whatever, and so they were just like,
oh my god,
in the company of like a lot of like racist shit. And I think that's just like always interesting to how it works now, just in regards to just like how people like view memes, and like it's like there's always just something to make fun of Black people or to be like ripped from Black people. Like even like I remember one time I was fucking like at our you know, we were in college or whatever. I went over to like our video game club, and they were playing like Super Monkey Ball, and I was like with like my friend who's like Black or whatever, and like he doesn't like I hadn't gone to like the club in months, and I was like I don't, because it's just like I don't feel comfortable. Yeah. And so I was just like, yo, like let's go, like almost it was like gag like, but kind of just like, you know, it's like I haven't been there in a minute. Maybe stuff has changed. There was like a big influx of like much more like Black and brown people. So like we go over there, they're playing like Super Monkey Ball, and they just like mention like this kid like mentions like Harambe or whatever. Yeah. And I'm kind of like, yeah, that's I'd like interjected like that's racist. And it's like, and he was like, what? And then like he and like his friend, they were like, no, it's not. And I was like, yeah, like that Harambe shit is racist. Yeah. And so it's kind of just like I have to, you know, it wasn't a coincidence that we were playing Super Monkey Ball either, because that's where it came up. Yeah. And so it's just kind of like, you know, it's like this stuff is like always like prevalent and stuff, and then like even now like there's like a meme about fucking like the Sprite cranberry commercial, which I have no idea like what that's about.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah,
I don't get the point. I imagine it's just like, wow, LeBron funny. Yeah, which again harks back to the whole point of this conversation.
Right, it's a fucking Sprite commercial, like a very short one, I might add. Like I'm kind of like, I don't get it. Like, is it about like, because I'm like, because I know like even when they're like in the chat, like they were like really talking or whatever. And I was just like, is this the one with like the drum commercial? Because he's in it, so I was like, I don't understand what's the parody. I mean, like it's a commercial, but it's still just kind of like, why is it that they like this shit is like funny? And then it's just also because it's usually used in groups where there's like very few or almost no Black people present. Yeah. And that's like the part that's like weird, because as I found out today, you know, if you know that like there's behaviors that go unchecked. Yeah. You know.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I can't defend that. I can't. But there's, I don't know, there's this like, I guess like people just don't think. People like, there's that lack of like, there's the ignorance. There's the ignorance that just comes with being on the top, I guess.
Right. The privilege of ignorance.
There we go. Like, a lot of white people and a lot of like, and I'm not taking myself out of this. I'm going to acknowledge my mistakes here too. I am a white passing POC. I'm Puerto Rican, but I'm white passing as hell. Look at that. And
if you're listening, look at it.
And because of that, a lot of white people, especially if they don't understand or if they don't know, will just assume I'm also white.
Right.
I've gotten that a lot. And a lot of like my time, especially at school, I was around a lot of that. So there's a lot of that ignorance came with it.
Yeah.
In fact, I didn't start opening up more until it fucking fell down on me. And then I'm like, I'm a fucking idiot. And then suddenly, like, I became more aware of it. I became more cognizant of it. And it wasn't like that in high school. In high school, I was a little bit more open and aware of everything.
Right.
Then college, I hardly hung out with anyone that wasn't white.
Yeah.
I'm not going to deny that. That's just the truth. And even if I did hang out with people who weren't white, they were raised in white households or something of the sort.
Right.
So that's a completely, like, different reality.
Yeah.
I may be talking about Jay, but that's beside the point. And I can't deny that, like, my understanding of memes and my understanding of a lot of, like, what is or isn't, I mean, like, I know what is or isn't racist, especially now.
Yeah.
But, like, my understanding of what wasn't just, like, fun.
Yeah.
Versus intentionally being used to make fun of people. Right. I had no idea.
Yeah.
It was ignorance that came with it.
Yeah, it's like, it's very, because, like, it, like, the like, it's not, the thing is that, like, it runs almost, like, it, like, they run almost parallel. So it's kind of like, unless you're kind of seeing or familiar with people who kind of like are of that or like into that, you won't really catch it.
Yeah.
So like sometimes like it's like very like and then it's like hard to catch and it's very weird. Like even just like certain terms like fucking woke.
Yeah.
Like it's like certain things get like taken and either get ran into the ground, they subvert the meaning altogether. Or they just take it and monetize it, like fucking Fortnite or BuzzFeed.
Especially BuzzFeed.
Right, you know, like the idea of like digital blackface, like people who like react with like GIFs, like black GIFs and stuff like that.
Yep.
People who make like fake social media accounts as black people that will like use like stereotypical names or whatever. Like there was this one post that was just like someone was named like Laquita Jenkins or whatever, and it's like as a black woman yada yada yada, but then you can see that their profile picture is like a Shutterstock photo.
Yeah.
So like that stuff is just like always interesting, especially just kind of like for what we do. Like it's almost the norm to be the only black person present.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's kind of just like very weird.
Yeah.
I'd say.
I mean, like, especially for like we're on Twitch.
Yeah.
So a lot of people on Twitch are probably going to be white. Let's be fair.
Yeah.
Keep this in mind. I think a lot of the reason why the ignorance persists and stays is because people just don't want to push out of the ignorance. They don't want to talk. Maybe they're like, with some of us, it's like this idea of like we're afraid to be wrong or whatever.
Right.
Or like afraid to go out there, or maybe people are just like, no, I'm just a racist.
Yeah,
which
like
is very
fucking, like when we were on Jackbox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you have this fear of like learning or a fear of wanting to talk and make yourself look like a fool, just look like a fucking fool.
Yeah.
Because honestly, you're gonna get better if you take the minute to be like, I don't fucking understand this.
Right.
Because guess what? You'll understand it once you start doing the research or start talking to actual people about it.
Right. Sometimes it's not even fear. It's just arrogance.
It's
kind of just more. It's not like I'm afraid to. It's like, why should I have to adapt?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like, you know. It's like, yeah, it's like, especially like in a place like Twitch, like fucking you have people like Ninja, like PewDiePie, like JonTron, like all these people who can kind of like do and say these things and there's no recourse. You know, it's the 2016 election. It's kind of like, why change my behavior when my behavior breeds great results?
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's always interesting, and just like, you know, it's kind of just like something to keep in mind. Like for me, like it just like, because it's just like it's just like very weird, because it's like I see it and it's kind of just like, well, I'm like, I don't get it. Yeah. But it's also kind of like, no one wants to be the person that's like always asking like, hey, can you explain that? Or more so like making people I guess feel out of place because now they have to like
go out of their way to explain it.
Right. And sometimes
something that they're even really used to and do all the time, and having to explain that. Yeah. That's like, especially it shows the culture, the divide.
Exactly. Especially because it's like, it's not even the explaining part. It's having to get in what the explanation really is. Yeah. That's like really fucking bad. It's like the dropping the soap. It's like having to explain to someone why dropping the soap is funny. Yeah. Because it's like, oh, the joke is that you'll get like, you know, that you're gonna get raped in jail.
And then it starts just...
Right, and then it's like, that's not really funny. Because it's like, yeah. Because one, jail is bad, and rape is bad. You know? Like, yeah. Like, so I think that's just, like, always interesting. Just, like, more so with the internet, and just, like, how as a lot of, like, platforms and personalities kind of come, there's going to be more of, like, these, like, like going over like kind of like, hey, like this shit isn't cool. Yeah. And people are like kind of like, well, I thought it was cool, and it's like, well, at the time there were probably like few and far people that were like, well, I either have to adapt to it, and so like, which is why like you have like a lot of like older black and brown like streamers or whatever, like content creators that like they have a bit more of like, they have like very thick skin. Yeah. Because otherwise it's kind of like, well, I'm not gonna, you know, I have to get tougher. This shit's gonna break me. Yeah. So, like, so that even within that, there's always like there's a divide too. And versus like shit now, it's like, well, you know, there's like that resentment of, well, why weren't they fixing this? Or more so, it's kind of like, I can't believe that y'all are getting so upset over this. You know, they used to call me worse. So. Yeah, like that's always interesting.
I mean, like, I think overall, and this is the best I can say to like people, especially like two things. One, if you're white, you should probably like talk to someone that isn't white. Seriously. Learn, gain some experience, gain some knowledge. Right. Two, this goes for non-black POC, because this is the interesting thing. I feel like there's a lot of non-black POC who feel that because they're POC, automatically have experienced just as bad, even if they haven't. You know what I mean? Right. And there's that whole like, I can talk about this, or I don't have to talk and get that perspective because I have that perspective. And you know, it's a case to case. Some people will have a horrible like experience, and you don't need to have a horrible experience to understand it. But like, you won't have that perspective until you talk to someone who has that perspective. Right. And you don't want that cockiness to come. For a long time, I'm like, I'm Hispanic. I'm Spanish. I know what it's like to not be white. It's bullshit. I very much fell into the trap of like, well, this is easy to be ignorant, to not think about it. Right. Yeah. Very quickly. Yeah. Because I for the most part, didn't experience I didn't experience a lot of what you'd expect someone who's Hispanic to experience. Yeah. Because I pass very heavily. And there's a lot of like light-skinned, non-black POC who just go through the same thing, who just pass, but they act like they didn't.
Right. It's also, we were in the Bronx too, which is like, it's a place outside of New York is very different, like, because it's just like in my experience, it's like there's no white people in the Bronx save for Riverdale.
Yeah.
But white passing like Latinx people or whatever, it fills the void. In regards to, like, there's no white supremacist. There's not like a lot of like white supremacist type of like shit, but there's still anti-blackness. Yeah. So like in a way, it feels almost. It doesn't feel different. Like even just like when I lived in the Bronx versus when I lived in Texas or whatever, it was kind of just like. And I remember I came back to New York. I was kind of like, I don't really see, what the. In my opinion, I didn't see what the big fucking deal was because it's the fucking same. Yeah. Like it's different for like a variety of reasons, but to me, it's not that different. If anything, I almost prefer the transparent racism in the South. Yeah. Just off the strength that like it's transparent, so I can avoid it. In some cases, and as I got older, I realized that there's certain places like like there are benefits to being somewhere like here, but in regards to just like on a micro level and not like a macro level, I feel like I would prefer the transparent racism. It's more the power dynamic. But when it comes to the power dynamics, I prefer being here. And even then, it's like the differences are almost few and far between because they're still killing people here too. Yeah.
But I don't know. There's just so much in the topic.
Right.
I feel like we switch topics a bit, but I think you can't. It's hard to have the topic about good devolving, I guess. Right. Devolving is a bad word there because even that implies like, well, we had to go down to talk about it, even though it's like something that needs to be talked about, needs to be discussed. Yeah. Like you don't learn by not talking about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
you are definitely not discussing our favorite albums of 2018.
In my favorite album of 2018, Mike Shinoda said the N-word 10 times.
10 times?
I counted.
One for each track.
Sorry, 16. God. But, I don't know, man. If you're listening to this, just fucking get educated. Like, talk to people. It's not hard to talk,
So, like, I feel like the idea of, like, not having access to the information, I feel like, was, like, at one point okay. But now it's kind of like there's so many platforms, so many things that will just, you just got to read.
Yeah. Like, you can literally, like, I think it's very easy at this point to just go on Twitter, search what's trending, and you'll get a fucking perspective that you didn't have before. Right. Especially from fucking POC who's going through some shit. Yeah. And experiences that on a daily basis. It's almost like we're in the digital information age. Or something. Right? Who knows?
Yeah. It's so weird because it's like people use that information for everything but this.
Yeah. It's because the ignorance is strong. There's a comfort that comes with the ignorance. And it's not a good comfort. I mean, it's good when you don't realize it's a comfort. Right. It's just like, well, nothing is wrong with the world. No, that is not true. Right. There's a lot, and you're not seeing it. Yeah. And that's the problem. And it's not, like, I've heard this from people before. Like, if it's been brought up, it's like, well, why are you being so negative? Why do you have to focus on the negativity? It's like, it's not that you're focusing on the negativity. You're focusing on the actuality, the truths, the reality. And then if you want to try and find a positive or a negative in that, that's your own way of absorbing it. But you can't deny a reality. Right. That's the difference.
It's also about, like, highlighting it, too. Yeah. Like, I feel like it's, like, and the thing I think that's, like, so interesting about, like, just when I think about this year with and I kind of just I mentioned it earlier with like the Black Panther album or whatever, was Black Panther. Yeah. Like this idea of, well, and not necessarily what Black Panther is, but what it represents, and that like, well, we have our own black superhero movie, fully black cast, very few white people. and they aren't playing really titular roles. Black writers, directed by like Ryan Coogler, and it's like, and then there's just like this idea of other like non-black people of color or whatever. It's like, well, where's ours? Like, where's our shit? You know, and it's kind of like, you know, we didn't ask for it, but we made waves and brought attention to it. And when it came out, we supported it, and versus like other groups kind of like, you know, were very anti-black about it and stuff like that, or like, you know, like, well, or like very like insulting or telling us just to be happy that we have like Rhodey or like Sam or like the Falcon or whatever. And then you even have like other people that are kind of just like, well, why don't, like, I remember fucking Michelle Rodriguez or whatever is like basically saying that like black people need to make their own heroes or whatever. But then, you know, you have people that are like, well, where's our Black Panther? Or even just like fucking crazy rich Asians like saying like, you know, y'all need to fucking support because this is our black our Black Panther, which kind of makes no fucking sense.
Yeah.
Just because the business of both movies aren't the same. The genres of both movies aren't the same. Like, Black Panther was a successful movie, but it's also a fucking Marvel movie.
Yeah.
That's backed by Disney. So, like, when people were like, well, if Crazy Rich Asians doesn't do the numbers of Black Panther, then, you know, like, it's because y'all aren't supporting. And it's like, well, no one, like, it's a superhero movie.
Yeah.
Crazy Rich Asians is a rom-com in the summer.
Yeah.
You know.
All I'm going to say is there was a bunch of people who want to see Black Panther that were probably too white to get it.
All of it, or to appreciate all of it, you know.
God, we went to go see Black Panther. I think there was this woman sitting next to us who she was like, I think she was like, I don't remember if she was siding with Michael B. Jordan's character or if she just hated him the entire time. But
wasn't she like super glad that like Killmonger died?
Yeah, it was such an obvious like.
Right.
You could tell there's something was just a little over someone's head there. Like, yeah, he was a villain.
Right.
But some parts just a little too rooted. It's a tragic hero kind of story.
Yeah, like he's a tragic. It's very like the movie. It was very like Shakespearean, like because it wasn't like your typical Marvel movie villain that's like, you know, the antithesis of the hero or whatever, or like a slight or like an evil variation. Although their costumes were basically evil variations of each other. But yeah, so
it's just all interesting.
Yeah,
very good movie though.
All right,
and then they fucking snapped him.
All of them.
Fucking Thanos. Why? Come on.
Yeah.
It's like, just come on. Now we watch next year's Marvel movie with all the original cast we know and love, all the strong white boys.
Yeah, the fucking
and Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah,
voiced by another strong white boy.
Yeah, you know, Thanos. You know, the non-black person of color.
Oh my god.
Is Thanos a POC?
He's a purple character. Yeah.
Right. Is he one of the purple people that like white people talk about? Well, if you're red, blue, black, white, purple, it doesn't matter. We're all human. Is Thanos one of the people?
God, I fucking
when people say that shit,
I hate when I hear that shit. Like, I know it's a different generation, like Gen X especially. It's just like, well, I love everyone, and then they fucking specify. I'm just like,
there's no purple people.
No.
And but now it's like, see, like I told you.
God, such a fucking. I wonder at what point we're gonna get like people who do that in other ways. Like, what's this generation's like example of that gonna be?
Oh, it's all lives matter, basically.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's all lives matter.
I forgot about that.
Why doesn't nobody do this when insert non-black people of color group here dies? Yeah. Like it's basically shit like that, or like, you know, yeah, that's the equivalent of it. Like, I believe all lives matter and stuff like that. Yeah, that's what it is. That's the all lives matter.
I feel like the way people like respond to Trayvon Martin or God, I fucking forgot the other kid's name, and
too many to name.
Yep. But there was the other really big one back in like 2014 or 2015. I just can't remember the kid's name, and I feel really bad.
Mike Brown?
Mike Brown.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the reaction to Mike Brown, and that's when I first realized, like, there's some bullshit going on.
Yeah,
like,
that's right, because like, it's also like y'all, because you came into college 2013.
Yeah.
And that, I think that's like always a very interesting, because I feel like that's still, like, because even from what I remember, like, from other people that I knew that came in that year, like, it was kind of just like the, like, almost like the cusp, the tail end of that, like, post-racial, like, era. So, like, how was that for you from, like, your school year 2013 to 14 versus, like, 14 to 15?
There was definitely, like, I think even then I was starting to clue in on stuff, but, like, the transition was big. Like, it was noticeable. Like, there was this obvious, like, that's not how things go, coming from, like, especially older people, like older people who were really believers of the post-racial America lie. Right. They were just like, let's not talk about this. Like,
because the woke wave really didn't hit until, or at least, like, it didn't really hit for, like, younger people, and really until, like when I started school. So yeah, like that. Yeah, I think that's just always interesting, because you can kind of, like, because it's just like, I feel like it's just very interesting, just like how things were just like dissected or just viewed, or even just like, you know, because it's like people living together, like hair shit, like it's just very interesting. Yeah.
It's just like, it's crazy. I like when Mike Brown, especially when Mike Brown happened. Yeah. I think, like, there was something you said earlier. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. It's like, I remember back then, I'm like, okay, I know why people are talking about this. We have to highlight the issue. Like, I remember when the Black Lives Matters versus All Lives Matter thing started. Yeah. And, like, why people were like, well, all lives matter. I'm like, obviously, people shouldn't die, but that's not the point. Even then, like, I'm just like, the whole point of Black Lives Matter is to focus on the group that's getting killed. Right. Like, on it all the time.
Yeah, and even if you don't want to focus on that, it's still about, it's like, even if you kind of want to, like, I guess, like, I don't know, like, make it not just a black thing, it's about police brutality. Yeah. Like,
and that's the thing. That's where, and you know that, like, the people on the All Lives Matter side get the idea that we're focusing on a specific group, because Blue Lives Matter exists. Right. They did that because they're like,
spite them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, and now there's an evolution of it where it started in spite, and now it's like people who legitimately believe, well, cops are getting focused on all the time, so we have to protect them. Like, hey, that's what,
protect the protectors.
That's what Black Lives Matter was. Like, like, do you not get what you're saying? Do you not see how fucking hypocritical and very obviously against black people you are here?
Right. And the thing is about, like, with, like, another thing too is just, like, when it comes to, like, not black people of color or whatever, is that with anything really, when it comes to just, like, most black, like, just most, like, black, like, civil rights movements or whatever, it doesn't just affect us. Yeah. Like, affirmative action does not really affect black people as much as, like, you know, bitter, jealous white people might make you think it does. The irony of it is it benefit, as far as, like, groups, like, the numbers might be a bit different now, but as far as, like, people that it benefits, it's not really black people. Like, it's a lot of, like, white women. Yeah. Surprisingly.
I'm pretty sure there was a stat at one point. It was, like, the highest number of people who benefited from affirmative action were white women.
Yeah. It's like the welfare thing.
Yeah. Well, like, we were talking about this before. My father's family growing up and, like, his other family, all welfare hounds.
Yeah.
Like, they are the, like, when Republicans are like, well, they abuse welfare.
Right.
It's those white people.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not what people say it is. It's like, this, it's projecting. It's just like, well, I want to believe it's this group, even though I know it's not. And my example is this one time I saw this white family do it, but, like, if the white family's doing it, the white family's great, so that means all the black families are doing it. Like,
right.
No.
Yeah.
That's
like,
not how that works.
Like, when it's like white families fall on hard times, but black families are taking advantage of the system.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like it's...
Or, like, God, people that are homeless, like, a white homeless man is just, like, having a rough time. Black homeless man's lazy, unemployed.
Right.
It's like...
Yeah. It's like, oh, you don't want to work for free anymore? Like... Y'all are lazy now. Like...
What the... like it or not, the 2020 presidential season has arrived.
Okay. Oh, of course.
What is this? Democratic National Committee plans to announce a debate framework soon featuring 15 to 20 candidates. I'm pretty sure Republicans are just going to be like Trump now. They're just going to push him more. Have we ever had an election where someone ran from the same party and beat a president in their next term?
Or someone ran for like a Republican beating
another Republican in like that was president at the time. Something like that. Has that ever happened?
I'm not sure if that's possible.
I think it's possible, but I'm not sure.
I guess it depends on if the president, if like the party's fucking with the president.
That's fair.
Like, cause from what I remember on the 2012 election or whatever, was that there weren't any Democrats. It was all Republicans. Like that. Like the buildup was just like all like senators and governors or whatever from like that were in the Republican Party. Cause it's like the thing. Cause I think the thing too is that like the president would be occupying a spot.
That makes sense.
Because I don't like they would have to run independent or something.
That makes sense. I see the fallacy of my statement. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because even like because I don't remember like John, because it would be like kind of almost it would kind of be like stacking the deck almost.
Yeah.
Because you'd have to like beat your like beat someone else and then to beat them out for the spot, especially because it's like with the Republicans, like, you know, it's like if two Republicans are running against each other for presidency or whatever, they would just have the fucking the Republican they like just went automatic and the other one just like withdraw.
That's
just because they're fucking down like dogs. Like,
that's true. All right, we should probably call this. We went on a while, but that's fine. I think it was important.